Yo, what's going on, guys? DeWobs here, and welcome back to a brand new video. The news just keeps getting better, because if you haven't watched my last video, that breaks down the leak that shares both new heroes coming to Season 3, Phoenix and Blade, along with a bunch of skins confirmed, the events, etc. Definitely go and watch that video, but you're here for Blade's abilities. Now, Blade is indeed coming in Season 3. I believe he's coming in the second half of Season 3. That might be subject to change. But now, thanks to Rivals Info, we have a description of all his abilities and how he's going to play. Now, just as a backstory, Blade has been a leaked hero since the very start of Marvel Rivals release. We knew he was coming, and of course, he's been teased in the lore a bunch. He was locked up by Dracula, we freed him, then he decided to go and sleep on Wakanda, and I guess now in Season 3, when we're fighting Null, he's decided to show up. And from the game files, he is leaked to be a duelist, and now we have his actual ability descriptions for the first time. Let's see what we have. Now, just as a preface, this is subject to change. Certain things could definitely be tweaked, but I think a lot of these will be pretty much spot on. So, the primary fire, now some of this is translated from Chinese, but the Blade Chopper is his primary fire, and he uses Dracula's sword to slash in front of him, inflicting damage to the enemy you hit. So it seems he is going to be a melee sword-wielding character. He will use Dracula's sword. Obviously, we've seen him depicted with it on his back in all of the Marvel Rivals artwork. And we could see the concept art of Blade. Now, he had two swords there, but we'll get into that. So yeah, his primary fire, he's wielding a sword. He slashes it in front of him. I feel like this is feeling a little bit like magic at the moment. Pretty much the exact same way that she uses her sword. But he has a second primary fire. So his secondary fire is the hunting gun. This allows you to use a hunting shotgun to fire a long-range explosive fragmentation round that delivers a large amount of shrapnel at the point of detonation. Okay, let's see. So this is like a secondary fire, a little bit like Punisher. You can switch between having your sword out or having your hunting shotgun. Now, it's long range, so you can actually be a pretty well-equipped ranged character despite being a melee sword fighting guy. But this explosive fragmentation round sounds to me a bit like Roadhog from Overwatch. Does that make sense? Like the way that you shoot and then the shot explodes at a certain point, dealing more damage if you hit that accurately. Obviously, if the person's further away, they'll be hit with less of the shrapnel, dealing less damage. And if the person's too close, I assume it then won't explode and deal the maximum amount of damage. I really do think that they've used Roadhog's gun there as sort of inspiration. That's what it sounds like to me. It might be completely different, but based on that description, I'm feeling like he's got a bit of a Roadhog shotgun. Now, we also have his abilities. So his right-click ability, the damage block. I assume this is what we thought was called Fang Deflect before. And this allows you to use Dracula's sword to set up a sword stance that reduces damage in front of you. So he does have a way of mitigating damage, and rather than just having your typical shield, he allows you to basically block incoming fire using Dracula's sword. So I assume this will just look like you're holding the sword up in front of you, and you take reduced damage, so you don't actually block all damage like a shield would. Now, I wonder if the sword itself has a certain amount of health, essentially, or if you can just use this permanently. It sounds to me like you might be able to use this kind of permanently as long as it's on a maybe a little cooldown. But yeah, reducing the amount of damage that you take sounds pretty nice. It sounds like magic honestly needs something like this. And we have the E ability, Blood Liberation. Activate Vampiric Bloodline. All blood becomes Dracula's blood. Gain stronger sensors. Can't be healed at this time, but can restore Dracula's blood by inflicting damage. Okay, this ability description doesn't actually really give away too much information. So it seems like his ability lets him transform, not necessarily transform, but amp up. Gaining stronger sensors, I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean. To me, I feel like it's most likely going to be his ability where he can see through walls. It was leaked by XOX Leak before. They thought that he'd have a passive ability where he could see enemies through walls. It sounds to me like this, giving him stronger sensors, is alluding to being able to kind of smell the enemies around obstacles through walls. So I think this will maybe give him the ability to see nearby enemies through walls or something like that. And also amp up some of his other abilities he can also not be healed, so this must be a pretty strong ability for saying you have to be antied to even use it. But because you can't be healed, it seems like dealing damage will heal you. It says it restores Dracula's blood, but I assume that means it heals you. So this ability basically puts you in a mode where you have to deal damage to keep yourself alive, but you also get some extra benefits. We also have his shift ability, so his kind of movement. Sprint forward. If wielding a gun, shoot an enemy and apply reduce healing. Or if wielding a sword, slash an enemy and apply to reduce movement speed. That actually sounds pretty cool. So if you got the sword equipped, you can dash forward and hit the enemy. Sounds a lot like Magic's dash, to be fair. And then that will reduce the movement speed of the enemy you hit, obviously allowing you to then stay up close with the sword and deal more damage and prevent them from escaping. Or if you have the gun, you just shoot them and apply healing reduction. So not really an anti, but very close to that. Healing reduction now in Marvel Rivals, things could get a little bit messy here. I don't know what to think of that. Let me know in the comments. And then we have his ultimate ability. Now this was called New Moon when it was first leaked, so let's see. After building up your strength for a short period of time, you quickly unsheath your sword and charge forward, while releasing a powerful chop and leaving Dracula's sword frantically chopping the area behind you. What? Okay, sorry, what? So it's basically a quick charge in one direction, I imagine. Can you control it on the way? Who knows? But you seem to chop people in front of you at the same time as leaving the sword chopping behind you. So it just seems like a huge area of effect damage ability. I mean, he is a DPS, so it makes sense. I guess this would be a good way to initiate or kind of take someone out. It sounds to me a little bit like Black Panther's ult, where you kind of aim it in a direction, but it also leaves a damaging ability behind you. Interesting. I don't know what to think of that. It doesn't sound that crazy, but obviously in practice, this thing could go absolutely wild. So let me know your thoughts on those abilities. We do have his team-ups as of when he was originally leaked. Of course, once again, subject to change, but in the game files, he has the team-up with Cloak and Dagger. This is the same as the Moon Knight team-up, so he can just be shrouded and gain healing. And like I said, his passive ability may be similar to Punisher, where you can see people through walls, and that is actually just a permanent passive. And then his Blood Liberation ability could make you stronger in other areas. So that is what we know so far about Blade. Like I said, I don't know if he's coming first or second. I'm led to believe that he's coming second on August 8th, and Phoenix will be releasing before him. But I feel like at this point, so much is getting leaked, we should be seeing a trailer pretty soon. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you interpreted the abilities slightly different, or maybe you have some references where other characters sound similar to these abilities, be it from another game or what, do let me know. And yeah, I'm super excited for Blade. So I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.